I'm wearing a t-shirt with a big hand on the front of it. I think it's kind of appropriate because CurrencyFair is a service that saves people money on international foreign exchange transfers, so it puts money back in people's hands. In fact, it puts back around 90% of the fees that banks typically charge for the exact same service. But it's also the hand of control, because CurrencyFair gives you a level of power and control over the whole process that's simply unavailable with any other method of cross-border transfer. We're going to demonstrate that for you shortly when we look at the brand new interface on our currency exchange marketplace. But first, I'd like to sort of talk briefly about why CurrencyFair is so different. As expats ourselves, we already knew that the best way to send money internationally was not to use a bank or a broker, pay them a silly margin built into the exchange rate with a transfer fee slapped on top. The best way was to find a friend who had the opposite need to you. So for example, let's say I had euros but I needed Aussie dollars. If I could find a friend that had Aussie dollars and needed euros, we could transact directly, agree a rate somewhere around the wholesale or the interbank rate, and just transfer the money between our bank accounts, pretty much cutting out all the fees. Unfortunately, and I also know from experience, you can't always find a friend that has that opposite requirement. And if you were thinking about doing it with a stranger, you wouldn't necessarily trust that they'd live up to their side of the deal. So what we did is we took this basic concept, we put it online, but we made it safe and regulated. So we created an online market where people can put up their orders for foreign exchange transactions and have them matched off by other customers, but safely. And guess what? It works. We launched in 2010. Since then, we've transacted over 250 million euros through the site. That's about 400 million Singapore dollars. We're seeing volumes now in excess of a million euros a day. So far, we've saved customers about 8 million euros in bank fees. A simple transaction, sending 1,000 euros overseas, can cost you around 55 euros with a bank. So that's built into the exchange rate and with the transfer fee on top. With CurrencyFair, that exact same transaction costs you about 6 euros. So that's compelling value, even on small amounts, with correspondingly larger savings on larger amounts. But let's take a look how it actually works. So Sean is logging into his CurrencyFair account, which he set up earlier by registering for free online. He's trying to log into his CurrencyFair account. He's then going to go straight into our quick trade function. That's the part of the site which lets you exchange any amount straight away. There we go. So you'll notice on the right-hand side, when quick trade comes up, that Sean has a balance in the system of 1,000 euros. That's because he's already sent 1,000 euros into our account. That's how CurrencyFair works. You first send the money into our account, and then you have the comfort of knowing that every other customer you transact with has also cleared their funds. So transactions can happen instantly, and there's no settlement risk. So for Sean to do a transaction here is pretty simple. He enters 1,000 euro, he makes sure that he has the right currencies selected, and he clicks Get Quote. So the system then goes away. I don't think he's clicked. The system goes away and looks at all the other customer trades on the marketplace and quotes a single rate. If he were to accept that rate and click confirm, his euro balance would drop, his Aussie dollar balance would increase, and he'd be instantly able to send those Aussie dollar funds out to any bank account. We send them locally from our Aussie account in Sydney, so it's a local transfer. Now, I should also point out that Sean could do any amount with quick trade because CurrencyFair itself will step in to provide any additional liquidity required in the event that there are not enough customers going the other direction at a good enough rate. But what if Sean didn't want to exchange straight away? What if he had a bit of time on his hands and wanted to get an even better rate than the quick trade rate? Well, I guess what makes CurrencyFair really unique is that there is a second option. We call it the marketplace. And the marketplace is really the essence of CurrencyFair's innovative peer-to-peer concept. So this is our brand new marketplace screen where Sean can pick his own rate. The way I like to think of this is like a real live market or a fair, a currency fair, where each customer is sitting behind a market stall holding up a sign showing what rate they're prepared to accept on their transaction. Now, like any market, the buyers here are looking for value, so they're going to go for the cheapest prices. In other words, if you want to get exchange quickly, you need to make sure that the rate you choose is competitive. So to enter a trade here, it looks very much like quick trade, at least at the beginning. Sean puts in 1,000 euros, checks the currencies are okay, and clicks next. Once he reviews that order and confirms it, you'll see what happens. So he's asked for a rate now which was higher than the quick trade rate. His order's unmatched. It's gone onto the marketplace. What that means is that every other customer can instantly see that rate. It's formed a part of the available market. And in fact, we display these in rate order, so that it's always the best rates that come up first. While this order is waiting to be matched, Sean has complete control over it. So he can cancel it. He can change the rate. He can change his mind entirely if he wants and do a quick trade instead. We let customers completely control that natural market mechanism where they can trade off time for rate. When he is matched, he'll get an email saying that his Aussie dollars are now available. He can log in and transfer the funds out into any Aussie dollar bank account, just like with quick trade. So in practice, we find that it's about 50-50. Half the people like to use quick trade. They like the certainty, they're time sensitive, they know they're getting a good rate. The other half, though, like to use the marketplace, try and squeeze a bit more value out, potentially even beat the interbank rate, which is simply impossible with any other method. You can beat the wholesale rate. So we're an Irish company. We're based in Dublin. We're getting good traction in Europe. So, with $250 million transferred so far, we're finding our daily volumes are doubling roughly every 6 months. We're looking to accelerate that further. So we're looking to take on further equity investment. We're also keenly eyeing up the Australasian region. We can see huge demand for the product here from sort of expats, international students, and SMEs. We opened an office in Australia earlier this year, and we're looking to probably have a presence on the ground here in Singapore as well within the next 6 to 12 months. So we'd love to talk to you further about this today at our stand. We can talk about the product more and also the investment opportunities available. Thank you very much.